Hello and welcome to the second episode of Miniverse, the series where I, having no previous experience, show you how I build my dioramas. Today our diorama will venture into the realm of fantasy, and to be more specific, Warhammer fantasy. Well, close enough. Curse City. Curse City has some of my favourite models ever made, so I'm going to have a lot of fun building this Warhammer diorama. So to start, I cut some XPS foam up to fit the shape of the wood and added little bits on top to add some dimension to the diorama. Next, I carved out the foam using a hot wire cutter to make sure the diorama has some grandeur to the design. The diorama now resembling a Year 7's art project, I covered the foam with a mixture of plaster and Mod Podge to protect it from the spray paint later on. While the diorama dries, it's now onto my favourite part, painting. Since I only started painting 8 months ago, I'm still quite new to a lot of the techniques. Besides that, I perform the sacred ritual of adding paint to the unpainted. With the diorama now dry, I added some texture paste in the most barbaric way.
So uncivilized.
With the paste now drying, I placed the gravestones and the models in the general facility where I wanted them to go. After spraying the diorama black, I painted a coat of brown and proceeded to paint the gravestones with grey. Now onto the step where I almost lost my sanity. But don't worry, all of this was worthless, but in the end, it all ended up okay. I started by unintentionally overwatering some PVA glue, which absorbed all the flock and got rid of all the paint. After that, I learned my lesson and just started pouring PVA onto the diorama. Maybe that's not the best decision. Anyway, I sprinkled some flock on top afterwards. After that fiasco, I decided to learn a new skill. After watching Luke Towan's video on how to build a wire tree, I thought I'd give it a go. I started with 20, 30cm pieces of garden wire and folded them in half and created a loop by doing the loop-de-loop and pull. You can also do this to create branches by folding the two strands together and looping them together and twisting. I found it really helpful to have some source images to look back to while doing this. But make sure to watch Luke Tone's full video on how to make wire trees, and it'll be much more interesting than this video. After finishing the tree, leaving my fingers black and blue, it was time to add some plaster and paint to make it look more like an actual tree. I used 2 coats until most of the green wire was gone and it looked less like a hideous contraption and more like a tree. Now the tree is dry. Thankfully, the paint dried a lot darker than I thought, and it was time to fill in the gaps. Next, after spilling superglue of myself last time in the diorama, the lid of the superglue was sealed shut, so I had to result in a less than desirable way of opening it. I do not recommend this, but desperate measures cause desperate consequences. Is that how it goes? After gluing all the models onto the diorama and successfully avoiding gluing myself again, it's time to make some snow. To make the snow, I used a 50-50 recipe of Mod Podge and Snow Flock. Of which I then applied over all the tree branches and gravestones, basically anywhere where snow would gather.
Nice catch.
Now as I looked at the diorama, I was pretty disappointed. It looked pretty bad in my opinion, so I made some more snow and covered the whole base again. Once the snow was dry, I added some small plants and grass to add to the ambiance of the diorama. Let's finish this video with some nice photos. And hey, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe and please comment because I'd love to see what you want me to make next. I'll catch you next time.